What's up, guys? My name is Zach Bowman. It's 10:08 p.m. on January 10th, 2025. Legal disclaimer. The content in this video is for informational and entertainment purposes only. I am not a financial advisor, and nothing in this video should be considered financial advice. All opinions expressed are my own. You should not rely on this information as a substitute for professional advice. Always do your own research and consult with a professional licensed financial planner before making any financial decisions. Remember, your money, your responsibility. I have no idea what I'm doing. I'm going to take a risk and see what happens in 10 years, and you can follow along with my journey. With that being said, we're going to jump into the video today, and we are going to walk through a presentation on Mark Moss's Mapping Bitcoin's Quantum Wave, a 50-year blueprint for global adoption. Mark, thank you for emailing me these slides. I enjoyed listening to your presentation. I am not trying to get in trouble using your slides. I want to educate myself based on what you said and just put it out there and see what happens in 10, 20, 30 years as I reflect and see how your processes and thought processes, if they come true. So with that being said, every 50 years, the world changes. Every 50 years, the world changes. Quantum leap waves, 50 years. When we look at the first wave, we can look at 1771. Industrial Revolution. Then we jump to the steam engine and rails in 1829. Then we jump into steel and electricity in 1857. Then we jump into oil and auto production in 1908. Then we have telecom in 1971. And in 2021, not financial advice, this is all hypothetical, we are experiencing a decentralized revolution. Things are changing, and I am not going to miss out on a 50-year strategy opportunity. Guys, you might be saying, Zach, you're in crypto and you're saying all this shit about it. Yeah, sure, I am. I'm taking a risk. I'm looking out into the future, macro. We're not talking 5 or 10 years here. We're talking 20 to 50 years. It is going to be interesting to see how this plays out. As we go through these slides, we will see evidence based with data on what may or may not happen. I think personally for myself, at my point in my life, it's worth taking the risk and seeing what happens. We can see we got a lot of disruptors. Amazon has completely disrupted just the markets. Elon is disrupting the markets. When we look at just the evolution of technology, we can see that there's different stages and there's different periods of diffusion. Theoretically, when we have the initial event, or what we call a Big Bang, we have the initial technology come out, and we have the early adopters, we have a surge, we have a frenzy, we have a synergy, we have deployment, and then we have maturity. And we're going to go through those in detail based on my opinion and what I think about it. And honestly, all I'm trying to do is become a better public speaker and just see what happens and see where this takes me in terms of my career, my personal ability, my workability, and everything is turning. We are turning into our own broadcasters. Ultimately, you are your own news outlet. If you can create a strategy to connect with people and build a brand and people trust you, you are going to find a way to succeed in life and live a life of sustainability. I want to have kids. I want to have a house. I want to travel. I want to do all these things in life. And right now, I don't see that happening when I save my money in fiat. I am saving my money in the crypto space, other assets, we're looking at, we'll go into some other things, but right now, for all intensive purposes, this is specifically about crypto and Bitcoin and blockchain and just digital disruption in the finance space. When we look at centralized versus decentralized systems, we can see over the course of the next, say, 80 years, not financial advice, we are going to see legacy systems such as centralized systems falling out. We are going to see them declining. We are going to see decentralized systems increasing. We can see in 2010, we saw the initial bit. 2020, increasing. 2030, we're not even close to being there. So when we look at where we are right now, we're in between eruption and frenzy. We are going to see what happens if we invest $50 a day into Bitcoin, not financial advice. Guys, I am not going crazy. I don't expect you to go crazy. I am trying to challenge the status quo and see what happens, because over the past 15 years, if you saved your money in Bitcoin, you would have more money than saving your money in fiat. When we see the timeline of diffusion, we can see that there's a turning point potentially between 2030-ish, where there's going to be a surge in deployment. What we're seeing right now is it's a collectible. Then we're seeing it as a store of value. As we get into the synergy phase, we're going to see it as a medium of exchange. And as we mature, we're going to see it as a unit of account. And this is going to happen over a period of time. And there's going to be crashes. There's going to be rises. There's going to be a lot of different things. But ultimately, what's going to happen is there's going to be another new thing in terms of a disruptor. Something is going to disrupt this space. Everything gets disrupted. Everything is an ultimate game of Agar.io. If you've ever played Agar.io, this is my opinion on life and just companies and working hard. Everything is a game of Agar.io. We are trying to be the biggest, the best, and everyone else is trying to be the biggest and the best. And only the strong survive. And you have to work your butt off and be consistent every day. And I think it's important to just see this as long term. Zach, this takes 10, 25, 50 years. If I did this in 2009, I'd be sitting in a different location, making videos, traveling the world, probably speaking at conferences, and just, who knows where I'd be? Who knows where I'm going to be in 10 years from now? What I'm saying is you have to fucking start with something and see what happens in 10, 20, 30 years. That's why for the foreseeable future, I don't plan on drinking. I am able to work during the day and work at night. I am able to work on myself at night. I encourage you to work on yourself at night. Stop drinking, start investing, not financial advice. I'm going to do it. I'll talk to you in 10 years and I'll see where you're at and I'll see where I'm at. And I'm not trying to be competitive. I'm not trying to be a dick. The only person that I'm mad at is myself for not doing this 10 years ago when I knew I should have done this. But regardless, Phase 1, eruption. 2010 to 2020, retail eruption. We see it as a collectible. We see it as kind of funny, like, hey, yeah, I bought 10,000, I used 10,000 Bitcoin to buy pizza. Big mistake. We see limitation and experimentation. We saw some NFTs, and I don't know what's going to happen with that long term, but we can see that, in 2013, VC Hurwitz investing in Bitcoin-related startups. In 2017, we saw some future trading. And then in 2018, guys, I didn't even know this. Back in 2018, Fidelity announced plans to offer cryptocurrency custody services. They knew something 6 years ago, 7 years ago. I wish I knew something 7 years ago, 10 years ago, and I did, but I just thought it was stupid. So when we look at, I'm not going to go into these numbers, but we're looking at, initial phase of $28,000. We're seeing a, annual rate of growth rate of 4,000%. That's a little crazy. What we're seeing now in 2025, not financial advice, is getting into the frenzy zone. So we're seeing institutional adoption. We're seeing companies buy this stuff. We're seeing it in the news. We're seeing all-time highs. We're seeing people, are downloading Coinbase and Kraken and Cash App and Venmo, and they're downloading these apps and they're putting $100 into it to see what happens. It's kind of like with Dogecoin back when it was, 0.002 cents, and I should have held on to that. I would have made, who knows if I held on to it now. It's 34 cents. I could have bought it at 0.002. So whatever, you move on, you buy at the price you deserve, you sell at the price you deserve. What we're seeing now is we're seeing this as a potential store of value. So we're seeing some frenzy, we're seeing some disruption, we're seeing, maybe we should challenge the status quo, think outside the box, and see what this could potentially happen if we think on a macro 25-year plan. Guys, I've made a video about how I plan on retiring my future kids on 0.01 Bitcoin. I'm not saying it's going to happen anytime soon, but in 60 years, I think, not financial advice, my kids are going to have millions of dollars, and I'm okay with taking that risk. We're seeing a frenzy here. We're going to see this up until 2030, not financial advice. We're probably going to see a crash. Who knows what happens? FTX, Mt. Gox, anything related to something, any type of FUD. Who knows? But as we see, we're getting closer to this deployment phase onward into 2040 and 2015 before the next big bang. So what we can see right now is just the current state of the total global assets by value or market cap. So we have $330 trillion in real estate. We have $300 trillion in bonds. We have $115 trillion in equities. We have $119 trillion in money. We have $24 trillion in collectibles. We have $16 trillion in gold, and we have $2 trillion in Bitcoin. When you look at this, I referenced the game of Agar.io. Currently, real estate is the top dog in the game. We just started a new Agar.io gameplay. Bitcoin just entered their name into the arena. They have shown up and they are trying to level up, acquire more market cap, and grow and expand and take over the board over the next 25, 50, 75, 100 years. The price right now, with this being a $2 trillion asset, is $100,000. What happens if it doubles to $4 trillion? The Bitcoin value should theoretically be $200K. What's it to stop it from going up at an annual growth of 5 to 10% when it has had a CAGR or CAGR, however you want to pronounce it, at 88% year over year for the past 10 years? When we look in phase 2, we can see there's going to be institutional frenzy. And I am going to start sending emails to CEOs on the weekend telling them that I think they should adopt a Bitcoin standard or add some Bitcoin to their balance sheet for a rainy day. I'm only going to do this to people in my network and people that I know and companies that I hope succeed in the future, But what we can see is there's a lot of companies buying this stuff. And if a lot of companies are buying this stuff, why aren't you buying this stuff? We're going to have sovereign nations buying this, so we can see that El Salvador is just crushing it. They are crushing it. What happens if the USA does something similar? Frenzy, they see it. They see the growth. They want in. When we look at the frenzy price by 2030, not financial advice, we're seeing hypothetically $1 million per Bitcoin. We can see when Bitcoin surpasses gold in the future, not financial advice, the Bitcoin value will be $1 million, and it's still an infant in the game of Agario. Collectibles have gone up, money's gone up, equities have gone up, bonds have gone up, real estate's gone up. This is all just due to inflation. Ultimately, you always need a place to live, but when we look at the money problem at its core, the money is the problem. The fiat-based money is the problem. We're just printing. We don't have assets that are physically backed by something like Bitcoin with energy, gold with its actual physical properties, or other precious metals, or say real estate. But just the money right there, the $205 trillion in circulation, what happens as that continues to get disrupted? I mean, we're already using electronic money when it comes to Venmo and Cash App. So I really think it'll be interesting to see just this continue to grow at a, say, conservative 13% annual growth rate, just like the S&P 500 last year. In the deployment phase from 2030 to 2040, we're going to see a lot of adoption. We are going to see a Bitcoin as a medium of exchange. So we see that Bitcoin had the original white paper back in 2009, I think, with Satoshi Nakamoto. Gresham laws applies to new coins and worn coins. Worn coins are likely to have lost some of their metallic weight through wear and tear, so they should have less value than new coins. But government sets them to have the same value. Thus, worn coins are artificially overvalued, and new coins are artificially undervalued. Yeah, you use the shit money, right? If you have a few $1 bills, you're using that $1 bill instead of that crisp 100. You keep the good money. I'm keeping the crypto. Bitcoin's unique utility. It's faster, it's cheaper, it's borderless, it's permissionless, it's censorship resistant, it's immutable. Yeah, I mean, we're just looking at AI is going to grow. Who knows what Musk is going to do? And this is not a political channel. But when we get into the deployment phase, we can see that Bitcoin might theoretically be 14 million by 2040, not financial advice. And we can see that everything has increased, but Bitcoin has increased significantly. Gold has pretty much stayed the same. So why are you putting your money into gold? Not financial advice. Maturity 2040 to 2050. This is when we have maturity or a unit of account. So instead of measuring things in how much dollars you have, it's how much Bitcoin do you have. It's going to be interesting to see what disrupts the banks. I think, not financial advice, all the banks are going to get disrupted if they don't adopt blockchain technology. When we look at all the videos I've made, guys, we can see that homes are cheaper in terms of Bitcoin. If you buy Bitcoin instead of a house, you can buy more house in the future with Bitcoin. Prices are falling. I've shown this on the chart before. Priced in Bitcoin, dollars down, crude oil is down, gold's down, S&P 500 is down, the median house is down. Life gets easier on a Bitcoin standard, not financial advice. When we look at the maturity phase, we can see that Bitcoin might be 85 million by 2050. When we have adoption and synergy in 2050, we got 1.7 quadrillion. That is insane. I mean, everything's going to grow at some point regardless. The money supply doesn't necessarily have to be stop printing, fiat currency, but at some point, what happens when this is a unit of account? And one Bitcoin equals one Bitcoin. And that's where, the 50 years kind of wraps up and we go into the next thing. And I don't know what's going to disrupt Bitcoin, I don't know what's going to disrupt crypto. I don't know what's going to disrupt decentralized currency and finance. However, we're still early, and AI is probably going to be the next disruptor. But that's not going to happen hypothetically, hopefully, for a long time, even though it's already happening now. But I think we still have some time. We still have a lot of human element that we can add and provide value to ourselves. So when we look at everything overall, we can see that you can download the slides here. This is Mark Moss. Mark, I would love to meet you in the future. I hope to meet you. I enjoyed your presentation, and I hope that I did a somewhat decent rendition of it. We'll see that, if Bitcoin reaches this adoption phase, it theoretically might be at $350 million dollars per Bitcoin. And, who knows what's going to happen? Who really knows what's going to happen? All I know is inflation's going up. We're printing, and at some point the dam's got to break. I don't necessarily have all the answers or know everything. Smart money's buying it, Fidelity's buying it, BlackRock's buying it. What happens when these governments start buying it? And it'll be interesting to see. So I hope you guys have a great night, and we'll catch you on the next video.